Welcome to the League of Legends recap of the 5th week of the European LCS. The first day started with Roccat against Copenhagen Wolves. Roccat, who usually impress with their strong early game, started to fall behind in this game and did not manage to find a real chance to return, as Copenhagen Wolves only got stronger with time. Noteworthy was also Freeze's performance on Draven, which was quite impressive once again. In the second game, Elements battled off Giants Gaming. Elements' decision making looked quite poor in this game, seeing as they didn't manage to get a win after Froggen's outstanding in-game performance. Even though they led in gold through all phases of the game, they managed to throw themselves behind in a series of unfavorable fights, allowing Giants to win after an insane Baron steal from Frederick. After that, Fnatic and SK Gaming went head to head in the European El Clasico. The all-time European classic SK vs Fnatic was widely expected by the audience, as it put both European top teams against each other. The so far undefeated SK had a slight lead in the first few minutes, but Fnatic's pick-thirsty comp, along with Huni impressing on Rumble, paid off for them, as they managed to get numerous kills and steal back fat to the point where SK found themselves extremely behind in almost all fight situations, which eventually led to a confident closeout by Fnatic. In the fourth game, Meteor Makers were matched up against Gambit Gaming. After recent events, Meteor Makers were forced to change players on multiple positions, picking up former Gamers 2 JWoww instead of Mimir in the top lane, and reinstating Corey as their mid laner. But even with those additions, they quickly found themselves pushed into tight corners by Diamond's rather tanky Nidalee, who managed to put pressure on multiple lanes. Due to Nick's recent health problems, Gambit had to put in Betsy as the mid laner for the week, who did perform just fine in his LCS debut, making Gambit win the game. For the last game of the day, H2K played against Unicorns of Love. Joining the ranks of roster-changing teams, H2K picked up Kazing as the support role. Since then, H2K managed to win every single game, in this instance against the Unicorns, partly due to Kazing's clutch thresh plays and Ryu's and Odoamne's amazing teamfights. Overall, H2K seemed like they knew what they're exactly to do, and succeeded in dominant fashion. The second day of the European LCS started with the rematch of Fnatic against Gambit. After a 0-5 start to the season, Gambit got quickly written off by most, but after the recent results, even after subbing in Betsy in the mid lane, who went rampant on Ahri, they seemed unstoppable in their second game against Fnatic and quickly elevated themselves in a highly favorable position. The sheer speed by which Gambit took over the game left zero chance for Fnatic's comeback. In the second game, Roccat played against Elements. When you look at it on the paper, most of Rockat's players should have been doing better, but until now they didn't have much success. However, the enemy Elements crumbled massively in the recent past and showed almost no resistance against the early pick and fight attempts. A majority of Elements ended the game with a negative KDA, and if they want to climb back to one of the top spots, Elements needs to catch up to their superior competition. Hereafter, Copenhagen Wolves met Meteor Makers. Freeze once again showed up big for Copenhagen Wolves in their match against Meteor Makers, but his team's overall success cannot be left unmentioned. After poor results last season, many people questioned Copenhagen Wolves' style of dragging out the game to impactful late-game teamfights, claiming the strategy was indecisive, but their recent wins prove otherwise, as their constant late-game style caused them to overcome the enemies in this case. For the fourth game, Giants Gaming battled the Unicorns of Love. As the last team to qualify for the LCS, many people assumed Giants bot lane to be considerably weaker than their competitors. But somehow Archery and Rydell managed to once again prove their capability to carry a game, along with Pepinario, who joined ranks of recent outstanding Ahri performances of the European LCS. However, Unicorn's bot lane was also not to be taken lightly. The game would have been surely longer if it hadn't been for yet another Baron steal by Frederick, managing to put Giants in the lead and winning them the game. For the last game of the European LCS, SK Gaming battled off H2K. Since the addition of Kasing, H2K's shot calling seems to have improved by a large margin, but most wouldn't have predicted just how good their strategy worked against one of Europe's top strategic teams in the form of SK Gaming. As usual, SK proved to be a hard nut to crack, and Forgiven surely ran big on Caitlyn, but overall H2K seemed just one small step ahead at all times, making it hard to point out any significant weaknesses at the moment. This upset win grants them the tie for the third place, with Copenhagen Wolf going in to the week 6. If you enjoyed this video or have some advice or useful criticism, please go ahead and comment and or subscribe. Thanks for watching.